Hey,
Yo, how's it going?
all right. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you with us. Good morning, good
Amanhã,
afternoon, good evening, depending
internet,
on where you are
não
in the
é?
world. I'll just make sure everyone's muted. Don't want to have anyone embarrass themselves by mistake. Yeah, good to have you with us, folks. We're going to get things underway very soon. We will officially begin at 2 minutes past the hour, so a couple of minutes to get settled in, as always, and we'll begin very soon. Thank you, everybody. Okay, everybody. I make it 2 minutes past the hour, so I think we can officially get things underway. So, a big, warm welcome, everybody. It is really, really exciting to have you all with us. My name is Alex, and I'm joined today by my colleague Omar, who I'll allow to introduce himself in just a moment for our, what are we up to now? Third live session in our AI Impact Studios put on for nonprofits here at Monday.com. These sessions are the biggest sessions we've ever hosted at Monday.com for nonprofits. So we're really excited. The AI features that they're highlighting are honestly completely revolutionary. And I think that today's session may be the most revolutionary of them all. It's pretty amazing what these agents can do. And in today's session, not only will you see a couple of agents in action, but you'll also get the chance to build some of these agents for yourself. Um, I will pop in and out to cover a few small elements, but today's session is mostly going to be led by the brilliant Omar. With that being said, maybe I'll pass the mic over to you now, Omar. You can introduce yourself, yeah, we can take it away from there. Sorry, folks, let me just allow Omar to unmute himself. There you go. You should be now able to speak.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Great to see you. So many people joining us today from all over the world. Feel free to um, let us know in the chat where you're coming from, where you're joining us from. My name is Omer. I am head of Impact Studio, which is a concept that we are cooking in the last month or so. We really invested a lot of thought around how we can best educate and best give the accessibility to AI tools for nonprofits. We're going to cover quite a lot of information also this week with all the 6 sessions that we have. But specifically today, we have an agent session, a very exciting one with 2 parts. We want to get to the hands-on part as soon as we can, but we also want to give you the knowledge so that you guys can also do it yourself whenever you want at your free time. We'll get started in a moment. Before we get started, I will say this session is recorded. We will send all the recordings at the end of this week of all the sessions, so you have something to look forward to. And we're going to try and answer as many questions as possible in the chat. Right now, there are quite a few of you, over 500 participants right now. And I see you're coming from all over the world, Belgium, Australia. Wow, Australia, South Africa, Louisiana, Maryland, Mombasa. So very, very diverse audience we have here.
This may actually
Uh,
be our most diverse yet. I can see a really wide range. So welcome from all around the world today, folks.
exactly. Let's see how many languages, in how many languages you know to say hello.
You're really going to test me today, huh? I see we've got someone here from Estonia. Martin, you want to teach us some Estonian? I can not handle everywhere today.
Great. So it's great. People are joining as we speak. Welcome, everyone. We are just going to get started. Again, welcome to the Agents session part one. And I will share my screen in a bit, and we are going to cover quite a lot today. By the end of the session, you will have at least one agent that already operates on your Monday. Whether you decide to activate it or not, that's your choice, but we will really dig in and dive and try it hands-on. So let me share my screen and we will be able to begin. Amazing. All right. So this is Agents for Good Part 1 and 2. We are going to have a small break, which I'll discuss the agenda in a bit, between parts 1 and 2. Quick introduction. Myself, Omer Matz. I am head of AI Impact Studio. I joined the nonprofits team at Monday recently, actually, in the last 6 months. And my whole mission is to enable nonprofits with tools to help them with the gap of resources or to gain more resources through AI. I come from a background of tech entrepreneurship. I also, fun fact, I'm a music junkie. I released an album. I also had a startup in the music space. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm sure you all know Alex, our great Alex Jones. But for whoever doesn't know who Alex is, I'll pass the mic for a second to Alex to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, just do this one very quickly, but I'm the nonprofit success manager at Monday, which means it's my job to help all of our nonprofits be successful on the platform. Many of you will have joined me in previous sessions. We're up to 27,500 nonprofits, always looking for more to join our big family of nonprofits, having even greater impact on Monday. And yeah, couldn't be more excited to talk to you about agents today.
Amazing. Cool. So let's get started. So for the agenda, we're going to start with part one, which is in the next 60 minutes. We're going to cover quite a lot, and don't worry if you don't understand it all within the first session. We always say that it's all about experimenting. Feel free and experiment. Monday has given Monday users 6,000 AI credits from last month. So feel free to use them and experiment. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about what agents actually are and aren't, how they work under the hood, when to build one versus a simple pattern. So what is the decision process that we need to make in order to decide if we need an agent or a simple automation? And the funnest part, which is the hands-on part, which I'm really excited for to get also you guys involved. So let's make sure that we have a couple of things open. First of all, your Monday boards. We'll get to that part in the second half, but prepare it. You might have also some appetite during the session to start exploring. By all means, go ahead. After that, we will have a break, and then we will continue with part two, where we will talk about skills for agents, getting hands-on on building our own agents, and getting hands-on on building agents with templates. So we have quite a lot to cover today. My colleagues and my team members have joined the chat, so hopefully we can answer as many questions as possible. And if we won't be able to, well, we won't be able to answer everything, unfortunately. There are some resources that Alex will share in the chat and pin to the chat window, so you can feel free to read about governance and frequently asked questions, AI pricing, what the nonprofits program is, what happens if you don't have a Monday account yet. It's time to open one and join us. And if you just joined Monday, then you also have in that pinned message the resources to get started. So without further ado, let's get to what we all came for. Okay. So agent is the most overused and misunderstood word in AI. Basically, we're already working with agents. You might not realize it, but you are. Deep Research, Claude Cowork, Cursor, Claude Code, OpenClaw, and more. What they mainly do is think, plan, use tools, iterate, and deliver. They're better with context and skills. This is something that we'll deep dive into in a bit, and this is the most important takeaway from this session. In order to improve your agent and in order to give it the knowledge that it needs to perfect your task. There are also two kinds of agents. So keep in mind, there are your personal agents, so your own productivity workflows, whether it's on your Monday boards or elsewhere. But it's for your personal use, like my morning brief or stuff like that. And there are also more broad agents that combine team efforts and organization efforts. So, for example, a knowledge base an agent connected to your knowledge base, and anyone can ask it a question, anyone from the organization. So, that's kind of the two different kinds of agents. Let's talk a little bit about the difference between an assistant in automation and an agent. So, an assistant basically is reactive. I send a prompt, I type in a prompt, I press enter, and I get back an answer. So it's a one-time thing, it's reactive. You can have a conversation, but it's not repetitive. It doesn't make decisions for you. So examples are custom GPTs, Monday's Sidekick. Hopefully you were in yesterday's session where we talked about the various capabilities of Sidekick. In automation is something very deterministic. So, like it's one thing, a few workflows, a few actions, sorry, tied together to a workflow. It's the same steps every time, like scheduling a task. And an agent is non-deterministic. It plans and decides using AI. So it acts and has reasoning. It loops in planning and execution until completion, stopping or human escalation. Now, let's pause here for a second and say Monday is where everything, all your work happens, and we are working alongside agents, and nothing is here to replace a person. Agents are here to become an extension. Just like any other technology, also agents can do that while we work on other tasks. They can do the repetitive tasks for us. And the way an agent actually works is the React loop. So we start with defining a goal, then we reason, then the agent acts and observes. And let's dive into each one for 1 second. So the number one thing that's important in setting up an agent is, first of all, defining what the goal of the agent is. So what it's trying to achieve, what's the end goal, what's the outcome. Then the reason, planning next steps to achieve the goal. This is part of the agent's brain. So this is where the reasoning happens and the action itself, the execution using the tools that it's connected to. The last one is observing. So an agent also reasons and acts, but it also observes. goes from a bird's eye view, checking itself and always kind of iterating and improving. It can also fix itself, which is also very different from an automation or an assistant. Great. Let's talk about the agent's main components. Now, this is the bread and butter, or how, the way we said it at the beginning of the presentation. This is kind of what's under the hood. So these four components are the general engines of the agent. First of all, you have the instructions, the objective of the task, and the way to execute it. So think about it as the goal you're giving it and how to achieve it. Now, you don't need to worry. Uh, I don't know if I'm sure some of you have used agents before and some of you haven't. But if you haven't, then it's not like you need to break it down step by step. An agent can create its own instructions, and you can also get assistance from LLMs. We'll look into that in a bit. But basically, the instructions are the goal and how to achieve it. Next is the context. The context is the actual environment where the agent is working. So in our example, it's a Monday board or a workspace where the agent can kind of understand the context of work, who the people from my team are, what my mission is. It understands the tasks and the deadlines. And that's what really makes this the custom agents on Monday powerful because it understands our work and all the context around it. So this is one of the key elements of these four. Skills, specific abilities required to make this task. So let's say we have a skill, an agent that knows how to write a post or craft an email. We want to give it a skill that's our branding or our tone, for example. So a skill can be like a personal tone, how we define this tone. We'll get into that probably in the second part of the session. And tools are anything that connects to our agent, like Gmail, calendar, web search. So these are external tools that are required to execute a task. So how does it actually work? This is the agent's brain, and these are the components that we just discussed. So first off, you have the instructions, how an agent should behave. We'll see in a second a few examples. Don't worry if this is too much information. It's going to be a lot clearer in 10 minutes, trust me. The instructions is how it should behave. The trigger is when will it act. For example, on a daily basis, I want it to work once I change a status, for example, on my Monday board, or when I am assigned to an item. The knowledge, what does it know? How it performs the tasks. This is the skill. So what we talked about a second ago, the tone of voice and skills is a very broad definition, and we'll get into that. And the tools, what it can use to take into action. All of these are kind of condensed into the agent's brain. Great. So what should we build and the decision framework? And after this, we're going to jump into a few examples so it'll get a lot more clear and a lot more real. Consider reaching for agents when one, there needs to be autonomy and judgment, not just multiple steps. It requires multiple tools and iterations. You can tolerate the latency and errors. The ROI justifies. So this is actually very important. Let's say my hours per month are worth X, or an employee's hours a month are worth Y. An agent can sometimes expand the time and work even more. Remember, it works 24/7. And then we need to think like if I can have this role and an agent also helps extend that rule, then it justifies the ROI. And multi-agent, is it high complexity? Is there a need for specializations and know-how? So this is kind of like what you should have in mind when you're thinking about creating an agent. If it's using reasoning, if it's repetitive, and we'll dive into this in a second. All right, before we spot use cases and learn how to spot use cases, I'm going to pause for a second and see what's going on in the chat.
Yeah, plenty of questions around the classic topics of where you can find your credits, how they are used, et cetera, which I'm sure we will get to. But maybe I can just summarize for folks who are curious about the chat conversation down there. You can always check your own credits by clicking in the top right-hand corner. You'll see your icon or your picture or your logo, depending on what you've uploaded. You can then click on the administration section, and then there's a brand new tab called AI governance. And this is where you'll see everything there is to know about credits. You'll see any free credits you've been granted. You'll see any credits that you've purchased, again, with the 33% nonprofit discount. You'll see how much they've been used and in which different products and who's used them. So that's kind of the main hub for checking out anything about AI. And if you do have any like specific questions around your account that we can't necessarily resolve right here, right now, live, our support team is available 24/7. In that same top right-hand corner, you'll see the question mark icon, and you can always open tickets there to discuss maybe some bug or something that you are specifically experiencing. That's the best place to check that out. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Honor. You can see here.
Yeah, in the meantime, I actually wanted to open with this because I know it's a lot on our minds. So if you go to your profile and select administration, you'll be able to see here AI governance. Okay. And over here, you can see credit usage. So you can see here how much percentage of your credits were used and how many actual credits you have. So, like we said, there were some free credits given out during last month. And this is the time where you can also take a look, understand what's happening on your account under administration, and start experimenting.
And someone did ask if that's only available to admins, and the answer is yes. Like to click on that admin tab, you do need to be an admin in the account. So, if you've got junior staff members or, the new intern who's just joined, the volunteer who's just joined your organization, they won't be able to go in there and see all that kind of high level stuff. You can make anyone you want an admin, but yes, you do need to be an admin to enter the administration tab.
Correct. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, I think we'll continue the flow and dive into a few cool use cases. All right. So we have here a few examples, and in order to keep things very clear, always prefer and prioritize simplicity. So think about tasks as a one-off thing that you want to achieve. For example, we have here Manny, the grant discovery agent. So we know the challenge from the nonprofits world. Grant research is an ongoing research process that takes time and resources. And Manny is that agent that searches for 5 relevant grants every day, week, or month, depending on the repetition that you want it to, and injects them into a designated board. So let's see how this works in practice. I'm not sure if you can see my board. Alex, can you see the board?
And now I see the slide just
Presentation.
many the slide. Yep.
All right. So just excuse me, guys. I knew something was a bit off.
Sorry, I was deep in the chat for a second.
No, it's all good.
Thanks for those who spotted it.
All right. Sorry, guys. Just one moment, please.
maybe while I'm doing that, I will also send a reminder to everyone that the questions in the chat, if we don't get to them, we are going to deal with these offline. We're going to build an FAQ section of all the most frequently asked questions, and it'll be shared with you at the end of the week. So we're doing our best to answer all the questions, but don't panic. If something goes unanswered there, it will be answered by the end of the week.
Great.
Cool. Now we see you.
Um, great. So you see my screen now, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. So Manny, the grant discovery agent, basically what it does every day, it will search for grants. And where you can find your agent is here. So Manny is already set up, but this is what it looks like. The interface is very simple. We'll talk about how to set it up. I just want to give you a quick glimpse of how it actually works. So basically, it works on a daily cadence. However, I can also here on the bottom of my screen interact with Manny as well. So let's start a new chat. Hey Manny, can you please go ahead and find 5 new grants now? Great. And while Manny is looking into that, what I'll explain what it's doing. So right now it's doing a deep web search. And because it has the context of my nonprofit, I added some information about a nonprofit that I love. Shout out to Borneo Nature Foundation, if you guys are here. And basically, what it does, it pulls information and adds the grants to the board, this board that it's connected to. So remember the context. This is the context, the board that it's assigned to. In addition to the context, to the board, we also give it information about the organization. So Manny knows exactly what my organization does, which type of grants it's looking for, what's the minimum amount, because when I set it up, I kind of configured it that way. And this is what you guys will do also in a couple minutes. So while it's thinking, I'm going to jump to another use case. So we have Ravi, the meeting action agent. So our challenge is meeting notes and action items are difficult to follow. They pile up or get scattered. The solution, an agent that can listen to my meetings, extract action items, and create items on a Monday board. So this is a fairly interesting one because it also plugs into another AI tool called NoteTaker. Um, so NoteTaker you can find here. There are a bunch of note takers on this call, so this is really great to see that a lot of you are using this very powerful feature. And basically, note taker, it transcribes every meeting that I have. And what Ravi, the agent, does, it looks at my previous meeting and it pulls out meeting action items. So this works automatically, very important to say. But let's see how it works right now. So Ravi is already configured and I already connected it. And I can also, on demand, ask it to pull information from my last meeting. So let's say, hey, can you please break down the action items from the last Impact Studio session today? Today, I will send it the name of. Sorry, one second. And copy it here and paste it. All right, looks like it didn't get my request. One second. Or it did. All right, let's start again. This also may happen. Don't worry if it does, just refresh it and it usually works. Um, great. Now it's thinking. And while it's thinking, I'll explain. Again, it's pulling information from the tool that it's connected to. The tool that it's connected to is note taker. So right now we are using the trigger and the tool. So note taker is the tool and the trigger. The trigger is the time cadence that it happens. So we told it every time a meeting ends, you can trigger, you can start. And the brain has the instructions and objectives. We'll go into that in a bit. And what it's doing now, it's kind of checking the transcription, and it will, in a second, start bringing information into this board. In the meantime, we can see if Manny has finished. Manny is still thinking, and that's fine. I can go ahead and do other tasks. I can also ask it to tag me once it finalizes the work. And then I can see it like in 10 more minutes or 15 more minutes. So we should see that in a moment. And Alex, I'll pass it on to you to demonstrate our third agent. Before I do that, I'll introduce a third uh, agent or use case, which is Ruby, the volunteer coordinator. So while the other two are populating and are working, let's talk about Ruby for a second and showcase her capabilities. So the challenge, coordinating volunteers, is a logistical puzzle. Volunteers have different skills, availability windows, and restrictions. And what Ruby does, it matches the volunteers, checks the availability, and aligns skills, applying the matching rules to every unassigned item. So Alex, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, happy to jump in here. Yeah, I love this use case because I've done a lot of work working with volunteers, and I've found so often that the solution in Monday is great, right? There's a detailed board listing all your volunteers, and there's a detailed board listing all of your work. But actually making those connections is super time-consuming work, and it also means that you need to remember all the details about your volunteers and all the details about the work, and it becomes very challenging to keep the matching process fair. You end up kind of just giving the same work to the same volunteers over and over again because that's what you're used to. So this is a big pain problem, a big pain point that I've seen. And I think Ruby, the agent that we've built, does an amazing job of addressing this. So I've got here two boards, okay? One is a list of volunteer courses. These are courses that are going to be taught by my volunteers to immigrants and job seekers, okay? Maybe your work is going to look a little different, but I imagine you've got a list of tasks that your volunteers need to complete. Maybe in your case, it's distributing food in the soup kitchen or cleaning up your local beach, but you'll have a list of those tasks somewhere in Monday, or at least you could have. I've got here a connect board column where I can connect it to my volunteer database. And in the old days, I'd have to come in here, find the right volunteer, and understand everything about their preferences and their availabilities and their competencies and their training before I make the connection. The board in question is this one. This is my volunteer database. And again, what Ruby does is she understands the bigger picture and she can map the best agents, sorry, the best here we go again. The best volunteers to the work. So how do we get Ruby? A few people in the chat were asking about how you can actually access these volunteers. Well, it's very exciting. And I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here, Omir. But we've actually published these agents and we've got links that allow you to download them. So here is my link to download Ruby. And with the click of a button, she will be born in my account. Now you can change her design, you can change her name, etc., and then click on onboard. And we've actually built into the instructions an onboarding guide for Ruby. So as soon as she's born, she should kind of introduce herself and start asking us questions about our nonprofit. Now, one really nice thing that we can now do is take this conversation out of Monday. If you prefer to chat with your agent in WhatsApp, for example, you can do that. So here is Ruby's introduction. This is how I'm going to work for you. I'm going to introduce myself and blah, 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 blah. Now, these are the instructions we've given Ruby, but of course you can override these. Okay, if there's any specific um, preferences that you have, then you can tell Ruby how you need her to work. So the first thing she asks is, where is the work going to live? And it is, of course, our volunteer courses. Great. There's only one board in my case. And oh, she's going to start working without her second board. She won't get very far. Let me connect that board. Amazing. Then I need to, of course, connect the list of volunteers. Okay, that's not a problem. She's pretty smart. And now she's asking for the second board, which is the volunteer database. Amazing. So she has the two boards now. And this is the point where she starts to understand the workflow. This is what kind of work you're managing. This is the kind of columns that I think will be the most important. And she also raises any flags that she sees, because of course your board may not look exactly the same, may not have a course status button, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be identical. She's smart enough to figure that out. Here we go. This all maps perfectly. I have everything I need to start matching. Now let me update my instructions to lock in this column mapping. Okay, the column mapping is saved to my instructions. Before I matching, I'd love to understand your organization a bit better. So this is where she's going to kick in and start, interviewing me, understanding what's most important to my organization. And this process will take a second. So maybe we can kind of skip ahead a little bit here. But this is where you can start to give Ruby more insights. You can say, for me, the top priority is making sure that the Thursday night courses always have a volunteer first of all, because the Thursday night courses are the most important for our awareness and branding. This is when the city councillors will always be in the same building, so they'll see our work, just as an example. You can also tell her really specific things like, Karen can't work on Thursday afternoons because she has to pick up her kids. So make sure you don't instruct her, you don't give Karen work on those days. So what I might do here is say, skip the interview process for now. Let's test a match first. I'm overriding the instructions that we've built. I don't recommend you override them. It is quite helpful for Ruby to have that extra context and to know a bit more about your organization, what your priorities are, what your mission is. She'll then be able to factor that in when she's matching your volunteers. Like if there's people who share your goals and your motivations, it'll make her work easier as well. So, all right, she's going to run a matching pass now across upcoming and ongoing courses. She's going to look to make sure that the volunteers aren't available only on the date of the first part of the course, but across the entire duration of the course. And she'll look to see if they have the qualifications required to teach, for example, an English course to immigrants. They need a English as a second language certificate. Do they have that? These are the kind of things that she will look for, and the kind of things which you can add and train her to do further. Um, all right, let's see here. She's reading structure, she's reading items, and she's actually changing the item values. She will make the connection inside the connect board column. She'll actually use Monday's own features for the connection to be made. It's not like she'll just send us a note here and tell us, hey, John would be a good fit for that course. She'll actually make that connection happen inside Monday. And of course, if you've got any associated automations, like once a volunteer is matched, maybe you've already set up an automation to send an email confirmation to that person telling them that they've been assigned this course, right? That would still flow. The fact that Ruby makes the connection is really no different from a technical point of view than if you've made the connection yourself. So pretty cool stuff.
Alex, we're getting a few questions here, so if I can interrupt
Yeah,
while
please do.
Ruby's
She's still
thinking.
thinking, so it's perfect.
Great. So first of all, just while you were speaking, I received three notifications from Manny, from our Grand Discovery agent that tagged me.
Amazing.
And somebody asked here about agents being able to make different to be tagged in or updates on the updates tab. They definitely can, and I'll show it in a second. And people are asking about nonprofit templates, agentic nonprofit templates.
Mhm.
We have that. We will share it with you in a moment, and you can start working with it yourselves. We'll just finish this phase to finish up this round to kind of like see exactly all the different use cases to give you some ideas. So I'm happy to see that appetite. And yeah, Alex, let's see what Ruby's done, and then we'll jump back to Manny and Ravi.
Perfect. So yeah, here she is. She's made the match. She's run on three courses, but of course, if it was 30 or 300 or even more, she would also manage. Of course, the more simple the work, the smaller the work, the more easy she will find it, just like anybody else. But here we go. She's matched Olivia Garcia to the childcare and local health system. She's given a perfect match because she's qualified in childcare. Michael Lee is going to teach job interview skills. Simon Johnson, English basics, and she's even gone above and beyond. This is where she gets her Gold Star, Employee of the Month. Some patterns worth noting. You don't have any multilingual volunteers. Okay, that's a bit of an issue. Thin volunteer pool, etc., etc. And if we come and look now at the board in question, which I can do without leaving the little agents window here, you can see that the names of the volunteers appear here inside the Connect Board column, just as if I'd done that research myself, as if I had analyzed all of Olivia's qualifications, and you can see, everything we need to know about the volunteer living right here. As an example of the update section being used, here you can see a post that Ruby has just made, explaining why she made this match, other candidates who were considered, and why she chose not to use them. So amazing job, Ruby. I'm very happy with you. Excellent stuff. You've just saved me probably 2 or 3 hours of painfully scrolling through everything that they're able to work on. And we did that in the space of like 30 seconds. And Ruby will only be getting better and better at doing that stuff. So well done, Ruby. I'm really happy to see that work. Now, the last thing I'll say before I pass the mic over is that we're able to share these agents with you via direct links. It's pretty cool. They're not actually live yet in the template center. This is a little bit of a sneak peek. Basically, we'll send you a link and you just need to put in your account name in the first part. And then with the click of a button, you can download these agents that we've built into your account. So we can start sharing those in the chat. But yeah, thanks. Omer, I'll pass it back to you.
Amazing. All right. So we don't have much time left, so we'll jump right in. Just to share with you Manny's results. So the last five are actual results that Manny pulled from its online research. I also asked it to tag me if the updates on on any item is urgent. So it found three urgent deadlines, and it indeed tagged me, like you can see here. I can also interact with it on the updates itself by just simply tagging Manny. And it's very interactive. That's the cool part. Can you tell me if this is urgent? And it'll respond in a moment. And we also have our meeting action item meetings. Sorry, action items from meetings from our other agent. So it analyzed the previous workshop that we had, and it broke it down to sub items without me doing anything, just added here an item, broke it down into sub items. So apparently these were the sub items from last time. So great. All right, great done, Ruby and Manny and Ravi. This is great. And now I would like to also pass it to you guys to start working on these yourselves. So let's jump back into the board. Now, before we go on and start creating ourselves, I will just say this. I've seen many questions about specific use cases. Can I create an agent to do X? Can I create an agent to do Y? So right now is where we need to kind of like open our ears and absorb as much as we can, because these are kind of the tools that you need in order to make that decision. That's exactly the point of this part of the session. How do I make a decision about an agentic use case? Okay, so let's start getting our hands in and roll up our sleeves. I would like to ask, first of all, from all of you, to create a new board for the purpose of testing. So for example, create a workspace, just like I created one here or on your own workspace. And let's just create a new board so that we can test on it and we don't interfere with our actual kind of day-to-day stuff. Afterwards, if you want to connect it to your day-to-day stuff, if you think the agent serves you, then you're more than welcome to do it. Now, secondly, we have here a doc that I prepared for you that you can download a couple of the agents that we just shared with you. So I will share the link here. And now this is a little bit of a technical instruction. Please keep this in mind. I will share in the chat. One second. Okay. Sharing now the Google Sheet. Now, before you click on any links, please listen on how to do this. You copy and paste any agent link of your preference in a doc or on a note. Return to your Monday board, okay? And then you take the slug. So for example, the part between the HTTPS and the slashes and Monday is the account slug. So I will take this and place it, for example, if I wanted the grant finder, I will place it here, okay? Hope that's clear. If not, you're more than welcome to go into your Monday and select Marketplace, AI Hub, and you can start off with the meeting action agent that I just showed. All right, I'm going to give everyone 30 seconds. Okay. All right. Everyone set. Give me some thumbs up to see that everything worked. If you have any technical problems, then please let us know in the chat. Great. Seeing some thumbs up. Can I get the link again? You can scroll up in the chat. Perfect. Okay, let's continue. So now the third thing, let's start onboarding our agent. So let's say we want to select I'll just select a calendar agent. So what all of you should see is a screen that looks like this. You can name it. You can choose a background color. It says like the branding of the agent. You can decide to skip. But basically, we're now onboarding the agent, and let's start having fun with it and interacting with it. A couple guidelines before doing that, okay? While setting up the agent, it typically doesn't consume credits, all right? Only once you run the task. Okay, so always think, am I running the task or am I not running the task? Am I doing a test? And that's when it starts consuming. When you just set it up, then it's not consuming credits. So just bear that in mind. This is Lena, and this is what she's going to do. So I'd like all of you to take a few moments and just start setting up the agent, start interacting with it. We'll talk about the instructions in a bit, but let's kind of get a feel of how setting up an agent looks like. So I'm giving you guys a moment, and then I'll come back in.
And while you're doing that, folks, a few people have asked, like, for ballpark figures of, how many credits they can expect an agent to take and use. I'll paste an article in the chat now, which will be very helpful for giving you a ballpark. But yeah, it is important to say that simple tasks will take fewer credits and more complicated tasks will take more credits. So you always need to factor that in. And you can also choose which AI model you want to use. Some of them are more powerful and more quick and more heavy on the credit usage. Some of them are lighter, slower, less sophisticated, and cheaper. So there's a lot of different kind of moving parts there. It's hard to quantify. But that article I just pasted there, AI models and credits, understanding and optimizing consumption, will definitely be a good guide there. And a few people asking how they can get their account slug. So that exists inside the URL search bar. Let me open my account so I can show you how it looks for me. 1 second. I'll just share my screen. And this is what you need to just paste into the link that Almost shared, yeah, so that it knows where to download it to. So this is my account, and you can see in my URL search bar, monday.com for nonprofits customer success .monday.com. So that part before the .monday.com, that's my account name. That's the piece I would copy and paste into the link. So you can find that. Depending on which browser you're using, it may look slightly different. I'm using Google Chrome, but it'll be up there somewhere. Just copy and paste that section.
Amazing. All right. So you should have already started to get the hang of how things are rolling with the agents. I really encourage you, if you don't know anything, if you don't know what to do next, like if you then ask the agent in the chat. The best practice and one of the best tips I got across the board for speaking with agents is start with an interview. So you guys got like predefined links, so it will interview you automatically. But a lot of times you can come to the agent and say, "Hey, this is me. My name is this and that. Uh, Start interviewing me to get all the information that you need in order to achieve your goals." And now let's talk a little bit about the instructions, the brains and the context. So for this use case, I just understood while Alex was speaking that choosing a calendar agent is a bit invasive. Instead of sharing with all of you all of my meetings from the last week, not that I don't trust you, I completely trust you after this great hour, I will choose a different agent. Let's get going with one of our favorites. So if you didn't see how to do it, I will demonstrate. You can, I'm going to use it on my Monday account, so it's going to be Monday. Great. Hello there, Manny. Let's onboard you real quick. All right. Now, as most of you already saw on the right side of the screen, which will load in a moment, you have the instructions, you have all these configurations areas that we spoke about at the beginning. So we have the brain, and let's talk about the brain for a second and speak about uh, what its components are. First of all, the instructions. Remember the instructions from the beginning of the presentation. We have a very clear objective, okay? The objective needs to be clear. I want you to discover 5 relevant grant opportunities for the user's nonprofit organization. Then step-by-step instructions. All right, so these are very well structured, and I'll tell you a little secret. I didn't even write them. The chat actually wrote them. So this is what's really cool about onboarding an agent on Monday. Even if it's brand new, you can simply tell it what you want to build. And then once you tell it what you want to build, then it creates the instructions itself. The next part is the guardrails. This is also very important to understand. So guardrails are what the limitations and what to point out. That's kind of like the limits of the agent. So for example, do not include fluff or incorrect information. Only include grants relevant to the mission. Interesting. So now it needs to know what my mission is. Do not include opportunities requiring sign up to view details. So I'm telling it to search the web, and I don't want it to start looking at portals that I need to sign into. I want stuff that are public. Do not include expired or broken links. Do not include directories. Only include pages of the grant itself. Now, I will say here another note. You will always, especially in the first few runs, you will always iterate and improve the agent. Think about the agent as an employee that just came on board. You want to tell it what it can do, what it can't do, give it as much context as possible, and really put it on its lane, right? The same goes to here. The guardrails, for example, were written after we did some iterations, after I noticed it's taking me to expired links. So I added this as a guardrail. So these are things that only occur through testing, and take this into consideration as well. Once you work with an agent, you will always need to iterate and improve it, and it improve. And once it improves, then that's where the magic happens. It already becomes sophisticated and works flawlessly. So this is very important also to keep in mind the patience of onboarding an agent. So we said step by step, sorry, objective, most important. Then step-by-step instructions, how to execute to get to this objective. The guardrails and the manual setup. I'll dedicate the last couple minutes just to go over the rest of the things that we discussed today. So knowledge and access. This is the context. Remember the context? So we spoke about it at the beginning. We have four, let me remind all of you, we have the instructions, we have the context, we have the skills and the tools. So instructions we just covered. Context is what we're going into now. This is the who and the where. So in this case, the context will be my Monday board. Because it's a grant discovery, then this is the board that I created for this. You should connect it to the testing board that we created 5 minutes ago. And this is the context of your agent. You can also add files if you have any documents or anything that you wanted to rely on. Um, but basically, once you give it the access, whether to view or full access, you can decide. It will know exactly where it operates. This is in addition to the guardrails it has in the instructions, it now knows where it works. Next, we have the tools. So the tools is super cool. That's where this goes outside of Monday and in general, you can connect your Gmail, your Google Calendar, your Slack. You can even add custom MCPs if you know what that means. That's a bit advanced. We won't go into that in this session, but you can also add custom connections. So this is also very powerful. Note taker, for example, is something that was connected with the previous agent, so we activated that. For many, for the grant discovery agent, what's important is web search, so we are activating web search. Then the skills, we'll go into that in part 2 of the session, but skills is can be anything to do from HTML email builder, social post creator, meeting actions, weekly team digest. So skills is when you're zooming into a specific, um, I guess, um, sorry, I blacked out on the word, but let's say a specific skill that you wanted to have. If you want to make it a master in X, then you can create a skill. And this really focuses the agent around that skill. So for us, we want to enhance that skill, the capability with another skill called Smart Web Research. Skills are something that you can create yourself, and we'll learn in the next part when we need to start working with skills. So that's in a nutshell about the brain. And the last piece is the trigger, when you want the agent to start. So you can decide if you want it every time period, once an item is created, once a status changes. Okay, I will also say that on by default, agents also are triggered when tagged. So you can also tag it and mention the agent itself. So you have here a huge list. Explore it, see what it has, items, sub-items, when an item is archived, when it's deleted. So I really encourage you to take a look at this as well. I know our time is up, so I will pause here and let's just jump back to sum things up. So we talked about the four different components of an agent and what happens in the inside, the instructions and the context, the skills, sorry, the instructions, the context, the skills, and the tools. We connect all of those to a trigger to tell it when to start acting. And we looked into some use cases that we can use as nonprofits. Um, and the best thing we can do right now is to take all of this information and start, ooh, an airplane. Thank you, Jen. We can start actually taking this knowledge into practice. Go, your Monday boards are open. Try it out. We will meet you again in an hour to start with the advanced stuff of part two, where we will dive into skills. And there's a lot to wait for because what we want to do in the second part is to actually bring you into that mindset where you will know when to make a decision if we need an agent, or maybe an automation is enough, or maybe we can just, ask Sidekick or ask our preferred LLM. So a lot to look forward to. Alex, any final words from your end on this part?
Yeah, I think there's one last thing which people are still struggling with a little bit, and it will take just a second to do one more demonstration, and that's how they can put that URL link into their agent so they can download some of these. And I think that would be helpful before we break for this hour. So this is my account. I look into the URL search bar and I see the name of my account, everything before .monday.com. If I paste in the link that I'm shared from the agent, I've got to put in the name of my account in that part there where it says account slug. I'm going to replace that, everything within the two triangular brackets, with my monday.com account name. And let me actually do it like this so that I can copy and paste this text and paste it in here, like so. Then I simply press enter and it will open that agent in my account. If you're not signed into your account, it'll first ask you to sign in. If you don't have an account, well, then you won't be able to do that. But that's all I did. I pasted my account slug into that part of the link that I shared, and it automatically opened up my agent. So yeah, play around with those agents during the next hour. Get yourself something to drink, refresh, and we'll be meeting back here 1 hour from now. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
See everyone soon.